Proverbs chapter 25. Last week we finished on verse 11. When we'll mention verse 11 because it ties into verse 12 as well. We're in a little section here concerning words spoken. It's kind of a little theme that goes from 11 to 15. And of course, you'll find it throughout the book of Proverbs. Concerning the tongue, concerning language, concerning words. So we will look at verse 11 first. A word fitly spoken is like apples of gold and settings of silver. Last week we talked about what the apples of gold and settings of silver could be. But just understand, whatever it is a beautiful thing. Okay, whether it's literal apples that are golden, and some would even say they could be like a citrus fruit, which I don't know about that. It hardly matters. It hardly matters. It is something that is beautiful. But a word fitly spoken, that is spoken in due season. That's from 15 verse 23. What needs to be said, exactly when it needs to be said, that is like just this beautiful ornament. It's this beautiful thing, and we talked about that this could be a literal apple in like a bowl, a silver bowl, or apples in silver bowls, or this could be something that is made out of gold and with silver setting around it, such as one could have found in places like the temple, but it wasn't apples, it was pomegranates. But you have these ornamentations. And speaking of ornamentations, we come to verse 12. Like an earring of gold and an ornament of fine gold is a wise rebuker to an obedient ear. Okay, so here we have these similes, an earring of gold and an ornament of fine gold. This is typical Hebrew simile or descriptions of where it increases in its in this case in its value, increases in the emphasis here of an earring of gold and then an ornament of fine gold. So it is something even greater, and that's found a lot in Hebrew poetry. And it's just a device that is used. So what is like that? What is like that? That is the words. That's the words of a wise rebuker to an obedient ear. An obedient ear wants to know what they should be doing, or they want the correction, even though it may be painful. They appreciate it. It may be humiliating, but they appreciate it. Now they can move forward, doing better, and having been corrected. Whereas a fool rejects correction. A wise rebuke to a fool gets nowhere. Matter of fact, we can come down to chapter 26, verse 4 and 5. Do not answer a fool according to his folly, lest you also be like him. Then, verse 5, immediately following, answer a fool according to his folly, lest he be wise in his own eyes. Okay, so here, coming back up to verse 12, you have answer an obedient ear. Yeah. Answer, give that wise answer to an obedient ear, that wise rebuke, that's fitting, that's proper, that is good, that the obedient ear will listen and change and appreciate what has been given. Now let's go to verse 13. So we're in chapter 25, verse 13. Like the cold of snow in time of harvest is a faithful messenger to those who send him. for he refreshes the soul of his master. All right, there is a contrast that's going to be made in verse 19. We'll get to that in just a second. But this is a faithful messenger who has done precisely what he's been called out to do. And you can rely on him to do it. And there's the thing, that someone who is faithful, that they are sent to do something, and you know, unless they are stopped by someone, they are going to be faithful. They're going to do it. And this refreshes the soul of his master because it has been done. They are being relied upon to do something important. You don't give important things to a child, to a small child. You don't give them something that, unless you're just desperate, you don't give some important task to a small child. They probably will not be able to do it. It's like my brother gave they were on a trip, and he gave his daughter, who was small, a rather expensive camera. Okay? And being a child, she was doing something, she set the camera on a bumper of a car. All right? Guess what happened? It wasn't very long that they can't find the camera and they can't find that bumper. The car is gone. Okay? And and his wife said, well, you gave a camera to a child. Okay, if you gave her something important, you can't expect that she's going to keep up with it. She's just a child. That's it. If you've got something that's important, if you've got something that's valuable, you have to give it to someone who is going to faithfully keep it, do it. And that is the relief in this. Like the cold of snow in time of harvest. All right, it's not saying like snow as though it's snowing in harvest. This would be like cold in the time of harvest. Well, that is a relief. Working out in summer under the heat, and it is dry, and which is exactly what you need when you're harvesting grain and things like that. You need for it to be dry, because if you harvest it wet, well, it's going to mildew, and don't take that lightly. That becomes poisonous. You now have a poisonous grain. Poisonous grain milled becomes poisonous flour. The mildew's still there. That's not a thing we really have to think about. One, we don't really farm, any of us, really. We don't have to deal with the various things that can affect grain. We just don't. But here is this cold of snow, and we can understand this. It's what would be an extremely hot day and toiling. Now you've got this very welcoming cold. In the wintertime, it's not so welcoming. But in the time of harvest, it would be welcomed. And here is the relief that you get. And this is opposite, like Proverbs 10 and 26, as vinegar to the teeth and smoke to the eyes, so is the lazy man of those who send him. All right? It's an irritation. Vinegar to the teeth, smoke to the eyes. It's an irritation of you sent this man to do something and he didn't do it. All right? He could not be counted on. He's a lazy man. He couldn't be counted on at all. All right? Now, I just want us to look at verse 19, because these two are opposites. Confidence in an unfaithful man in time of trouble is like a bad tooth and a foot out of joint. And I think that we can pretty much put in this whole thing of in time of trouble. This is desperation. You have confidence in someone that you have to have them do their job, whatever it was. That this is a time of trouble. They've got to do it. But what happens? You have this confidence in an unfaithful man, and it's described as a bad tooth and a foot out of joint. Well, what do you get with a bad tooth? Well, you get a constant pain. There's this constant pain. And here, there is this, we have bad tooth, foot out of joint. Here's this escalation. Here's this Hebrew poetry again of a greater emphasis. Like the earrings of gold and ornament of fine gold. Here we're kind of going the other direction. That's good and better. This is bad and worse. Bad tooth or foot out of joint. This is actually weakened and helpless. Here in this time of trouble, he just made it worse. An unfaithful man just made it worse. And here with this, there shouldn't be such confidence, but sometimes you don't know if someone's unfaithful or not. You don't know if they're going to be willing to actually do it, or if it's going to seem as nothing to them, or they've just got better things to do, and they forgot about it, or they're just not going to do it. And there are some cultures, just bringing this out, there are some cultures that they cannot tell you no. They won't do it. You ask them, do you have this? They will always say yes, even when they don't have it. They're not going to tell you no. They're not going to tell you no. Now, you're never going to get it because they don't have it. But here is you have to have an understanding of people, obviously, and you have to have understanding of who you're dealing with. And I'm not saying that culture is just full of unfaithful people. I'm not saying that at all. But I'm saying that there are some people, they have a different mentality of where they won't tell you no. They will always say, yeah, I can do that, but you can't count on them to do it. Will they or will they not? You'll find out. But this is in time of trouble. And he's going to destroy your confidence altogether. Now, we come to verse 14. We go back up. We go to verse 14. And this continues in that of things spoken. Whoever falsely boasts of giving is like clouds of wind without rain. Okay, it looked like there was going to be rain. Yeah, it would like rain. Everything appears that way, but nothing occurs. All right, it's just continuing to be dry weather. All right, now, first ones in your mind, who falsely boasted of giving? They gave something, but there was a false boast to it. Ananias and Sapphira, Acts chapter 5. All right, Barnabas was not one that lied about his giving. He didn't lie about it. He sold a property, and there were others. Barnabas is just named by name. Barnabas, he sold a property, and he gave it all to the church. Now, that didn't mean anybody else had to do that. But there were others doing it. Like I said, it wasn't just Barnabas. There were others who were giving very, very generously. And you have these two, Ananias and Sapphira, husband and wife, that they decide, okay, well, this may look bad that we're not giving, and others, they look pretty good in that they are giving. And so they do something similar, but they lie. All right? They sell a piece of property for so much, and they don't give it all, but they say they gave it all. All right? Now, we're not told how much they kept back, because it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how much they kept back. It could have been that they only gave half, or they only gave a quarter. It could be. It could be that they gave 99%. We don't know. We don't know. But they lied, and the lying was no good. The giving was, as far as that's concerned, the giving was fine, and just keep it at that. Don't try to say that you gave it all if you didn't give all. All right? Don't do that. And Peter tries to speak to Ananias of when it was yours. I mean, in essence, nobody told you to sell this. Nobody told you to sell it. When you sold it, nobody told you to give it all. You could do whatever it is that you wanted to do with it. But this is what you decided to do. And you've not lied to men, but you've lied to God. That's what you've done. All right, so we come back to here. Whoever falsely boasts of giving, this is craving the credit. This is desiring to look like you made some sort of great sacrifice when really you didn't. It's a lie. All right, it's like clouds and wind without the rain. It really was nothing. You know, lying does not make something real. Lying about something does not just make that something spring into being. Now, we can go down to 25:27 and see these words. It is not good to eat much honey, so to seek one's own glory is not glory. All right? Living to glorify yourself, living to make yourself look grand and just the best person ever, whether it's generosity or whatever it happens to be. Because 27 doesn't say exactly what it is. It's just trying to seek one's own glory. Well, that's not good. That's not what an humble person does. An humble person isn't out to seek their glory. An humble person may have done something very, very good, but doesn't seek the credit, doesn't even want to necessarily speak of it, you know, as in broadcast it everywhere. Just not going to do it. All right, you don't seek your own glory. God's going to give you glory at the end. He can do that far better than anybody on this earth can. And it's best not to seek that at all. Now we come back up to verse 25. By long forbearance a ruler is persuaded, and a gentle tongue breaks a bone. Okay, by long forbearance a ruler is persuaded. You have in Luke chapter 18, verses 1 through 8, you have the parable of the persistent widow. Who is she persistently speaking to or pleading with? A judge. Yeah. That something bad, there is an injustice that has been done to her, and to begin with, he doesn't care. You know, it's like he can't be fooled with it. This is, in his mind, this is so minor. This is nothing to him, but she does not stop. She doesn't stop. By long forbearance, a ruler is persuaded. So here's patience, and then comes the next part. It's not contention. It's not ridicule. It's not being just barking at the ruler, whoever that happens to be, but it's actually soft persuasion. Because a gentle tongue breaks a bone. It is going in pleading, and there's nothing about it that is harsh. It's not there. And that, what is it saying? It is easier to catch flies with honey than with vinegar, something like that. However that goes, I don't know what it is. Something that is you can't speak against it. It comes off in a gentler, more emotional tone and more considerate tone than just being belligerent. And so, yeah, a ruler can be persuaded. Yeah, by someone who's going to have that patience and going to have just the gentleness to it. Verse 16. Now, yeah, all right. We've already looked at one already, talking about that of honey. Verse 27. Now, 16 also has honey in it, and after we do this, I want to look at all of the Proverbs that have honey in it, because it's being used in different ways. Have you found honey? Verse 16. Have you found honey? Eat only as much as you need, lest you be filled with it and vomit. Okay, so does this have to do with just literal honey? Not necessarily. I mean, maybe, but not necessarily. This honey in this represents anything you like, anything that you have discovered that is this is what you have found, the thing that you love, found the thing that you crave. It is extraordinary for you, and he is teaching in this. Okay, moderation, restraint. Now, there is a saying, and it is, everything is okay in moderation. Well, what are we talking about? All right, is murder okay in moderation? I hope not. I hope not. That there are certain things that are forbidden, absolutely forbidden. Adultery in moderation? No, that is absolutely forbidden. Eating pasta for Italy, we may say, is this really moderation? But finding something that you can rightfully do, it may be that depending on what we're talking about, you need to you don't overindulge. Okay, don't overindulge, and of course, if we're talking about foods, don't overindulge. Some sort of thing that you love, nothing wrong with it in and of itself. A football fan, baseball fan, all right. Still, it's to be in moderation. Don't let these things rule your life. And he says, eat only as much as you need. That whatever this is, just go about it, and don't be excessive in it. No overindulgence. Just show some restraint in this, lest you be filled with it and vomit. That you just you're now it comes on you now, and you shouldn't have pursued it so far. I remember a man that he and his wife, they loved. There's nothing wrong with what they did necessarily. They loved bluegrass music. They loved it. And they would go on these weekends with some sort of bluegrass festival thing. There's more occurred during the year than I thought there would be. But they loved doing that. And they would spend the whole weekend listening and or playing. And that was a passion that both of them shared. There's nothing wrong with it. But he would say, when we come back home, I hate bluegrass. He's just done with it. Obviously, not for very long, because they go right back at it. But he's heard enough of it to where he's sick of it. And it wouldn't take me long. While I don't mind it, I don't want a weekend of it. I'm sorry. I just don't. But anyhow, It's just in this same sort of idea that you found something that you really are passionate about, something that you really like. Well, there's got to be moderation to it, whatever it is, whatever it is. Now we come to verse 17. Seldom. Oh, I did say we were going to do a thing concerning honey. Yeah, we are going to do that. Okay, Proverbs 5 and 3. These are the ways in which Proverbs uses honey, and it's in numerous ways. Proverbs 5 and verse 3. For the lips of an immoral woman drip honey, and her mouth is smoother than oil. This is used to describe temptation and flattery. All right, and honey, what does honey represent? Honey represents something that is sweet, something that's easy to like, and in a place where the only sweet you're going to get in the Middle East is going to be by way of fruit and, of course, honey. You're not going there. They didn't have cane sugar. If they did, that's news. They didn't have that. It's going to things. People, doesn't matter where you're from. People like sweet. All right, they just do. It's very, very pleasant. And so, in this sense, her lips drip with honey. Her mouth is smoother than oil. That's the words. The words that she is pouring out are they sound good. It's smooth and sweet. Now Proverbs 24, 13 and 14. This is coming about it from a different direction. My son, eat honey because it is good, and the honeycomb which is sweet to your taste. So shall, verse 14, so shall the knowledge of wisdom be to your soul. If you have found it, there is a prospect, and your hope will not be cut off. So here it's used to describe the sweetness of wisdom, and that it is extremely good. That it's not only is it powerful, not only is valuable, that there is a sweetness to it. There's something that is very, very enjoyable about it because it gives you all these benefits. Now, verse 16, well, we just read that, 25 verse 16. So, but and 25:27, it is not good to eat much honey, so to seek one's own glory is not glory. So we've read that too. But here in verse 16, it's used to describe pleasure in which one could overindulge. In 27, it's used to describe seeking glory for yourself. That there's this sense of sweetness about it, this sense of that it is good, and that yes, there is a side to sin that it would want to seem like honey. It would want to seem that way. And as we often say, Satan is really good at advertising. He's really good. He can take something that's absolutely the worst thing possible, and it sounds, okay, that sounds like the thing to do. All right, it sounds better than it actually is. And he's been doing that from the very beginning. Now, we do verse 17. So 25 and verse 17. Seldom set foot in your neighbor's house, lest he become weary of you and hate you. All right? Your neighbor may not want you around all the time. Okay? Maybe not. And once again, here's a little bit of thing of showing restraint, that he may not want to be a constant host to you. And that may come hard to believe for some, or they may not care. I remember when I was in college, and in a campus that really was in the middle of a city, and I was absolutely lonely. I was lonely. I remember thinking that there were certain days in the week where I spoke one sentence to another human being, and that was it. All right, that was all. I went to class, and I went to my apartment, and then I'd go to the next class, and I'd come right back to my apartment. But there were a couple of brothers, and they were members of the church, and they graciously asked, said, "Would you like to come over?" Well, yeah, I would. I would like to come over, and I didn't stop. Well, it took me a while to figure it out, but there for a while, I didn't stop coming over. That was my go-to place. I've got nothing else to do at this moment. I've really spoken to nobody today. Not going to speak to anybody for the rest of the day. I'm just going to go over there. And I know they got tired of me. I know that they did. And there came a point in time when, okay, I get it. I'm not entirely clueless, day after day. I eventually got it, and that was that. I didn't bother them anymore at all. But here is, be careful about this, lest he become weary of you and hate you. All right? Don't be blind to this. Your friend may like you a lot, but he may not, or she may not want you at their house all the time. It's one of those things that just be aware. Now, verse 18, a man who bears false witness against his neighbor, and here we go with this Hebrew poetic device of we're increasing. All right, a man who bears false witness against his neighbor is like a club, a sword, and a sharp arrow. This is, I'm calling it poetic escalation. I don't know what else to call it. I'm sure there is a better term for it. But this is where it's giving a greater emphasis, that a sword is greater than a club. All right, I don't want to be clubbed to death, but a sword is going to get to death a bit faster. And something like an arrow, well, that's fast at a distance, and it too is lethal. And that's harder to you have an easier time running away from a sword than you will from an arrow. And you have this escalation in this, and it all comes down to a false witness. A false witness, what? Against his neighbor. Okay, now, we just spoke in verse 17, seldom set foot in your neighbor's house. All right, and we can think of that as being someone right next door, but not necessarily. Same thing, false witness against his neighbor, the person next door. No. In Luke 10:29, who is my neighbor? You shall love your neighbor as yourself. Well, who is my neighbor? Because I can tell you right now, knowing the way that you had certain sects of the Jews, Pharisees in particular, of where they would begin to define it in very clever ways. All right, your neighbor is someone who lives in the same city that you do. Anybody else is not your neighbor. Or your neighbor lives on the same street you do. Anybody else is, and I know they would do things like that. Whether they wrote it down, I don't know. But I know that would be in their mind. Who then is my neighbor? Well, as Jesus points out, it's everybody. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. That would seem very peculiar, that you could only show a love to those who are nearest to you, and those who are farther away, you could be a false witness to them. You could do whatever it is. You don't have to show them love at all. And who is my neighbor? It happens to be everybody. And we can look in places such as Exodus 20 in verse 16, in the Ten Commandments, you are not to bear false witness against your neighbor. Repeated in Deuteronomy 5 and verse 20. We can also look back in Proverbs chapter 19 And verse 28, a disreputable witness scorns justice, and the mouth of the wickedness devours iniquity. Bearing false witness is, in fact, an abomination to God. That's exactly what it is. And you are harming someone who is innocent. Now, we come to verse 19, and we've already discussed it, but we're going to read it. Confidence in an unfaithful man in time of trouble is like a bad tooth and a foot out of joint. All right, your confidence is going to be destroyed. And he's proven himself as to what he actually is. When you had to count on him in time of desperation, he's not there. I think we made an analogy a few weeks ago about like a fireman who didn't want to be around fires. Or why are you a fireman? Or a police officer who does not want to have to deal with criminals. Then why did you go to law enforcement? Why have you done this? When it comes down to this time of trouble, you've got to have faithful people there doing what you need them to do, and that your confidence is not misplaced. Now, verse 20. Like one who takes away a garment in cold weather, and like vinegar on soda is one who sings songs to a heavy heart. Now, this taking a garment in cold weather, that's different than what we had in verse 13, like the cold of snow in time of harvest. That's entirely different. All right, that is, in verse 13, as we made mention, is here in the heat of summer, and it's just hard, and he's just sweating, and here comes a cold breeze. That's nice. That is really nice. But this happens to be you can safely, it implies it. You take away a garment in cold weather. This would be in wintertime. All right, there's no comfort in that. None at all. And like vinegar on soda, well, that's an instant reaction there, is one who sings songs to a heavy heart. Or the implication is that these are happy songs. These are silly songs. These are songs that don't match the mood of the occasion at all. That is a heavy heart. All right, in funerals, we don't sing jingle bells. All right, that would just be dumb. All right, if somebody does, all right, that's kind of weird. You don't in funerals. Yes, sing songs of hope. Sure, sing songs of when grief like a river. What is it? When peace like a river. Yeah, that it is well with my soul. All right, songs like that. Yes, to help someone along, but this. And to help each other in times of grief and sorrow and discouragement. Here you have this heavy heart. In Psalm 137 and verse 3, for there those who carried us away captive asked us a song, and those who plundered us required mirth, saying, sing us one of the songs of Zion. All right, well, the psalmist putting down in this, they were in no mood for mirth. They're being mocked is what is being portrayed there. They're being mocked, and sing us a happy song. Let's have a little bit more mirth. Well, they're being taken away captive. They have no mirth. It's not going to be there, and probably not going to be there for a long time. They're not in the mood for something like that. That there is that heavy heart, and that heavy heart doesn't want silly songs or songs that just they're not for this moment. All right, just in no mood for that. And you have that garment taken away in cold weather, vinegar on soda. It just is instant. Verse 21. These two, 21 and 22 go together. If your enemy is hungry, give him bread to eat, and if he is thirsty, give him water to drink. For so you will heap coals of fire on his head, and the Lord will reward you. You'll be rewarded for doing that. Now, we have similar things going back to chapter 20 and verse 22. Do not say, I will recompense evil. Wait for the Lord. He will save you. Vengeance is not to be done in this. And Romans 12:20, where you do have the words, vengeance is mine, says the Lord, there is Romans 12:20 quotes these two verses. Proverbs 25:21 and 22. All right. If your enemy is hungry, that's your neighbor. Give him bread to drink. Give him bread to eat. If he's thirsty, give him water to drink. What you have shown your enemy is that you are, in fact, a better person than they are. That's what you've shown them. And you've shown them an example. Will your enemy begin to have any kind of soft feelings toward you? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. It depends on who it is. All right, it could be someone who's entirely ungrateful, someone who's entirely just vile, and it doesn't matter what you do. But you are proving yourself better than them. That and I've met people who absolutely they're very, very cynical. They do not see anyone as having any kind of real goodness. You're only doing this for what you can get out of it. All right, you do good to others so that they will do good to you. That's rewriting the golden rule, and that they just don't see that anyone would actually make a sacrifice, do anything that is positive or good to others unless they expected something back. And here in this can be very difficult to do. Someone who has treated you in a bad sort of way, you help them when they need help. You help them. And it says, for so you will heap coals of fire on his head. Well, it's going to be their conscience. It's going to be realizing what they're doing to someone who really is kind to them. All right? And doing something to someone that here's an act of mercy. I wouldn't show mercy on them, but they're showing mercy on me. And that can break things up. That can break things up inside them of where they are changing their mind, or you have this heap coals of fire on his head, and this realization, but here is the end part, and the Lord will reward you. What did Jesus... Now, Jesus on the cross could not give any of his enemies bread or water. But what does God do every single day to both enemy and unfaithful and wicked, and also to the faithful? What does he do? Blesses everybody. Now, every spiritual blessing is through Christ. But everyone, it's raining outside, everyone in this area is getting that rain. All right? Everyone, if there is a good crop of whatever it is, that doesn't just go to the righteous, that's going to go to everybody. God is gracious to us all, even to those who, where Christ could say, forgive them, they know not what they do. All right? That God can take care of us. The sun shines on the just and the unjust. The rain on the righteous and the wicked. Everyone receives the benefits of this world, and the benefits of this world come from God. And we're going to need to finish it there. Hopefully return next week. Thank you.